Yeah, great to be here. And I will talk about the skills that will be crucial. I will tell stories, how I became a board member and what I have learned and what type of board I'm having in my startup Prena at the moment and how we collaborate. And then also what I think are the skills, but also how to plan your own kind of path towards board work. Currently, I work at Prana, which is my startup, and I'm a founder and CEO in that company. So I'm always meeting the board as a CEO, but I'm also a board member in that company currently, which is not recommended. But we just closed our angel round, so we got new board members, and I'm there because we are raising another round. And then when we have raised the VC round, then I will move away from the board. But that's how we are now operating. I'm also one of the co-founders of Slush, one of the biggest startup events in the world. And I've been founding the first social media agency in Finland and the first blogger platform in Finland. And then I have been also a consultant. So I was about 8 years in founding a consultancy where I was working with big corporations, Kone, Fazer, Wärtsilä, Finnair, but also with smaller companies. And then I decided at some point that I want to go back to the startup world. And then I left my job, and then I had white canvas, and I started to draw what would be the future company where I would love to work, and it became Pröne. I'm a business creative, so I have studied and graduated from Helsinki School of Economics, so I'm Master of Science in Economics. But at some point I wanted to learn about creativity and how to lead creative people. And then I got an idea that I should apply to University of Art and Design Helsinki to Media Lab. And I got in. And there I met people with who we started the first startup together. Because I was the only business person within the team, the other people were coders and designers, I kind of was forced to become a CEO. I didn't want to do that, but I was the only one, so I agreed. And then I started to grow into this kind of leader role. So I have been a CEO since. So I've been about 15 years a CEO in different companies. Because I have started many companies, I have also always been a board member in several of these. So I've been a board member more or less 15 years. And last year I won the Future Board Member of the Year award. And currently I have a couple of board positions. One is in a listed company called Fodelia. And then I have several advisory board positions. I have hobbies, CrossFit, padel, yoga, and I have 2 kids also. And I'm a columnist at Talouselämä, and I also have a podcast about leadership with Anu Ubaud. And that's about me. One slide about Pröne, what we do. We are a platform. We say that it's a knowledge on demand or knowledge as a service platform. So whatever type of people, professionals you're looking for, you can find it from our platform. You can find also board members, advisory board members, and we have more than 3,000 people there. And we've been developing also AI. So we talk about the AI on our boards every time we have it. And I have also learned to utilize AI every day in my work, but also in our platform. And I will talk about it later a little bit more. I have a couple of slides about trends, because the platform is also about future work, so we need to understand where the work is going. And I kind of like this graph. Many of you probably know about gig economy, and we've been talking about talent economy and knowledge economy lately, but we also see a new trend that we are moving into this wisdom economy. And if we think about AI, AI will help us move towards the wisdom economy. And Pröne has a role also in this. We say that we are in the kind of knowledge economy and wisdom economy area. So how about the AI? we have so much data and information, and we get a lot of suggestions from the AI and a lot of information, but we still need to have people there. And if we think about the boards, there are people who are having conversations. They will bring the context and understanding to the topics. And at the moment, AI can't do that, and I don't believe that AI will do it in the future either. We will need to have the people there. You can read a lot of things that AI is writing, but you won't understand it in the same way in your context unless you talk with other people. And I think board has an amazing role here to bring the knowledge and their wisdom to you as a CEO. How did I get into the board work originally? Like I mentioned, I'm a startup co-founder, so originally from that path. I was also a CEO, so I was presenting to different boards. I've been also presenting to like corporation boards, and it was very different than in startups. But I started also quite young as an advisory board member. So that's also something that I always recommend, that if you would like to become a board member, it's a nice way to start learning. There are a lot of startups looking for advisory board members. But what have always driven me is that I'm very goal-orientated, so I always know what I want to learn next. And I'm always thinking where the world is heading and what are the big changes that are happening. And then if I don't know, or I think I don't know what's gonna happen next, I can't kind of I just have this kind of passion to all the time talk with people, think about things, so that I would have a picture where the world is heading, and then what is always my role in that. I'm very curious as a person, and I recommend everybody to be curious, always ask a lot of questions, and these are the questions I have been asking from myself since 15 years or 20 years. What would be the best place for me to learn about board work? That was a question when I was doing already board work in a startup. I started to think that actually I don't know if I'm a good board member in my own co-founded startups. Then I went to Google. I Googled what is the best place. I found Harvard, and then I decided that I will apply there. And then I got in, and I was the youngest there, and I think there was like 90 people and only 5 women at that time. So I did that like 10 years ago. I was afraid that all the time that the teacher would ask me questions, so I tried to just like sit somewhere on the back or so that they wouldn't notice me. But it was amazing, and actually I met a person there who is now also an investor in Prana nowadays. Then I have always asked the question, who would be the best person, or who would be the best people to learn from? So when I became the CEO, I was 25 years old. I was in startup world, in tech world. There weren't any women CEOs. There was maybe 2 in Finland. And I really looked like, who can I talk with? And I found several people. And every day, still nowadays, I'm always thinking, who are the people I would love to work with? And I'm also giving back to the other entrepreneurs. So I mentor a lot of young entrepreneurs, especially women. Then what skills do I need to achieve my goals? So I'm always thinking where I want to move next. What is my passion? What is my purpose? And what excites me? And then in order for me to get there, what are the things I should maybe learn more about? And it's a constant kind of evolution. I know I have a plan of 5 years of the things I want to learn. And of course, it's not going to go in that order. It never does. But then if something happens, I would, for example, I'm nowadays a coach, growth coach. I graduated on summer. And I had it in my plan that I would do the coaching in 2027. But then there became this possibility for me to do the coaching already now. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to do it now, and then I'm going to move some other things. So now I'm a growth coach, and I'm kind of already in that path. Then always know your values, but they change. It took me a year to really understand my core values. I kind of thought that I knew what they were, but I didn't. So there are different ways to learn about your values. And when you know your purpose, your values, it also becomes very easy to think about the board work, which boards you would like to join, which ones you don't want to join. So if somebody asks me to join to a board, I can easily say no, because I know who I am and what are my values and so on. And and what are the companies I'm most passionate about? I believe that if you're not, as a CEO, excited about the company you work in, you shouldn't be the CEO. And same thing with board members. If you're not passionate about those companies, you're not the right person. So that's why it's important for you to understand who you are, and not just think about like having this board position and that board position and increasing the positions on your CV. Okay, so what are the essential topics to consider for your future in the board market? Your skills and experience, your personality, your resilience and high performance readiness, and then your fit to the team. I will talk about these topics next. But we start with the skills and experience. The general skills, and I think it's good for everybody who is on a board to understand a little bit about the business and finances, and then of course, legal related things. And in general, many board members have been having these skills. But if we look at the future, there will be other skills that are needed. But always think like, what is your own unique angle? What is you? Who are you? And what is the difference you can bring to the table? So don't copy other people. Find who you are and kind of build on the top of yourself. But I have still listed here some of the things that I think are crucial or important. You don't need to understand all of them, and it's usually good to be good at one or two or three things, not to have all of those. But digitalization is one, sustainability, understanding people, new markets culture, future trends, where the world is heading, understanding AI and technologies, and then also commercialization. Those are the topics that I picked for this. And then always when you're thinking about yourself, I like this tool of kind of dividing me as who I am as a doing person and being person. So doing person is me in my CV, like I have founded this and I have done this and that. But many people don't know who they are, what is their being. So who are you as a personality? And the younger you start to think about these things, the better. But they also change. Who I was 2 years ago, or actually 5 years ago, I was a little bit different because we lost our home for mold, and we lost all of our stuff, and we needed to move in one day. So that was, of course, a trauma for me, and it has changed me also a little bit as a person. It also changed a little bit my values. So it's a constant kind of a process, evolution. And then always try to figure out what are your strengths and weaknesses. Talk with people, your team members. Try to ask them that you would figure out it in a better way. And what I recommend is this Enneagram tool. It's similar to, some people use DISC, and there are other type of personality tests. And you can also find free versions online. Me as a person, I'm Enneagram 7, and I'm also 8, but I have a little bit more of 7. So I'm like optimistic person, creative, quick, and so on. But then I have weaknesses, or 7 personalities have a lot of weaknesses. And the sooner you know the weaknesses, the blind kind of spots that you have, the better, because you can start also work better when you know that, okay, I might get bored super easily, so how to not get bored so easily. And then when you know who you are, it's always about the team too. So who are the team members? So I'm 7 and 8, but then I have my team, so they are very diverse. And we have people who are number 4. Number 4s are, for example, they love people, they want people to love them and hang around with them and so on. So it's important for me to understand that there are different types of people. If I do a presentation at work, some people want me to just go to the topic immediately, but then there are personalities who would love to talk first, like how are you, and spend a couple of minutes for that, and they would consider me very rude if I move fast. And in the board, it's also good to know what type of people are the board members, because then you will work better. And when you have conflicts, it's easier for you to then handle the situations, because then you can communicate that, okay, I'm 7. I'm sorry that I again did this, that I got bored. Or she's number 4. She would like us probably to do it this way. So you can work better as a team. I mentioned that I plan my future. So I like to think holistically, 360. So I'm using this kind of tool. There are many different tools, but for me, politics is also important. So for me, politics is there. Probably it wouldn't be for you. So create your own kind of tool and update it all the time. So, are you resilient and high performer? This is a question I've been thinking a lot. And I'm at the moment also taking a course about neuroscience and how our brains work. So I'm working on these topics a lot. And there has been many different things that I've been finding very useful for my team, but also when I've been thinking about board work. When we talk about resilience and high performance, they might sound like these terms that you hear every now and then, but there are really important things in those terms. For example, how quickly you are able to bounce back in a setback. Are you the person who, if you have a customer and customer gives you negative feedback, or your team member gives negative feedback, then you are thinking about the negative feedback for a couple of days. You're actually not very resilient or high performer. The ones who are the top high performers would be like, oh, that's a nice thing that you said it, I will learn from it, and then we'll just move on. So there are many different things why you should think about these things. And then also how creative you are. It helps you to be creative. It also helps you to focus. And when I've been doing coaching, and the reason why I moved into this neuro path was also that if I had a customer who talked with me, and sometimes actually the real problem was that they weren't sleeping, or they had a bad diet, or they didn't exercise. It didn't help that I talked with them. And if I'm a board member or leader, I need to take care of myself. I need to exercise. I need to sleep. I need to think what I eat. But there are other things too. We need to feel, for example, sense of belonging within a team. If you don't have that within a team, many people will feel miserable. They won't be happy. And then optimism. How can you be more optimism or grateful every day? It will actually improve your performance. There was an interesting study made by Neurozone. Before COVID, there was top 10 predictors of resilience. Optimism was there and reducing negative thoughts. But then when COVID came, it changed. Those weren't anymore the most important things. They were actually exercise duration and exercise diversity. And we're still there. We haven't moved back to this and meaning in work life. We're actually there that we should exercise more. That's the reason why I'm doing the CrossFit nowadays. I got shocked when I saw this, and then I started to change my habits. Then tip. I have my own PowerPoint. The name is Helene 2023. Next year, it's Helene 2024, and it has been since Helene 2020. And so every year, I'm making my own PowerPoint where I have my values, dreams, what I want to achieve, potential paths of future where I could go, what I have achieved so far, and I'm doing it from the doing and being perspective. So I recommend to do it. And it's so fun to move back in time and check what you had 2 years ago. And I still update this almost every week. So if I see something interesting or I have an idea that actually I might be interested in this type of board work, or actually I might be now interested in breathing exercises are ones that I'm now interested in because of the neuroscience behind it. So I had it on the list, and a couple of days ago I got an advertisement that there's going to be this breathing exercising workshop next weekend, so I just signed up for it because I had it in my kind of Helene PowerPoint. And yeah, so this is a tip I highly recommend, and also share it with other people. How to become a wanted board member. So it's a list of things I have been saying. Know who you are, doing and being. What do you want to achieve? What are your dreams and goals? Make your plan. Find your own unique path. List the skills you would want to have. Talk with people who have done it. Share it to your network, and also work on your LinkedIn. Always add there things. If you're looking for board positions, add there the word board member or something, because the headhunters, they are looking at like board members. So then they will most likely find you. A couple of words about the team, and maybe I have a question about timing. Do I have how much time?
You have plenty. We have 15 minutes within the questions.
Yes.
15 minutes in total.
Yes, cool. My board, currently we have Katri Sipilä as a chairwoman, and then Mikko Ayub as a board member. And I think, for example, yesterday we had the board meeting, and it was the best meeting within a month. And that's what you would want the board meetings to be. Why it was so great? Many different things. I always share the materials beforehand, and what do we have? I have executive summary, I have OKRs, kind of like KPIs, then financial performance, operational highlights, team and talent development, customers and platform advisors, because we have platform advisors, so it's that's why we have it there. Future goals and initiatives, and conclusion and outlook, and then we have other topics. And why it's so great is that it's co-creation, collaboration, a lot of discussions, people saying their own opinions. And one great thing that Mikko does, that I want to do also, is that he always says that my opinion is now, but it might change. And then he says his thought. It's very different for me as a CEO to take his point of view, because I also know that he might change it. So it's a nice way to kind of build this good conversation and kind of a co-creative environment and trustful environment. We have new ideas. I can ask questions. I'm thinking about their wisdom. For example, yesterday I asked that, okay, we are moving into this kind of recession. Tell me how it felt like when it happened last time. How was it when you were leaders in big companies? What were you prioritizing? I wanted to learn. I was curious. So we have that kind of conversations. And they have really good questions also for me. And when you get the good questions, you will probably also find a new better focus, or then you might come up with new ideas. So these are things that I think are very important in a board. That you feel like you can say what you want, and you make it okay for everybody to say what they think, and then that you feel safe in the environment. You don't need to hide anything. I love that I can show them that I'm the 7. Here are my weaknesses, here are my strengths. They can know it. I don't need to hide it. I shouldn't be there hiding or having a presentation and trying to be somebody else than I am. I always talk about about where I'm good and where I'm bad. Couple of words about diversity. It matters. According to Harvard Law School's report, board diversity and companies' financial performance are positively correlated. And we need definitely more diverse boards in Finland. We've been doing a study in Prönö about listed company boards in Finland. And we don't have enough women on the boards. We don't have enough younger people. We don't have enough international people. And you can find this if you Google Pröne and diversity report, you will find this information. And it hasn't changed. We've been doing it 3 years. I get depressed every year when I saw the results. I'm always thinking that, okay, maybe this time, but it doesn't change. And so I'm disappointed, but I'm also kind of getting bored about this, talking about genders and age and so on, because diversity is also about so many other things. But it's still the fact that we don't have diverse boards, so we need to talk about it. And as a side note, by the way, every time we publish this, I get hate mail. So it's also a kind of interesting thing from older men. Then diverse teams are also smarter. They focus more on facts. They process those facts more carefully, and they're also more innovative. So there are a lot of studies, and you can find so many studies about this topic. But then one thing that we don't actually talk about so much yet is this cognitive diversity. And sorry, there is so much text here, but because it was about research, I just wanted to put it there. And I find this actually really interesting. So it's the inclusion of people who have different styles of problem solving and can offer unique perspectives because they think differently. So it's about the personalities and how we handle information. So we should focus more on these kind of things. And also, this type of diversity produces better business outcomes. It enhances innovation by 20% and reduces risks by 30%. So there are clear results in this type of diversity. But I wouldn't know how to exactly then construct the board. Would it be these enneagrams and like what type of characters we have? For that, I don't have information. But if you do, I would be happy to know. And then collective creativity is one thing. We need more creative and innovative. We are much more creative and innovative within diverse groups. But then again, we need to have this feeling of trust in the teams. And compassion and empathy are essential for collective creative problem solving. And empathy is something that we have been discussing a lot within the past couple of years. It's also a topic I've been thinking quite a lot myself, because at some point I thought that I want to become an empathetic leader. And then when I became one and I got results that I'm that, I didn't actually want to be anymore, because I started to think that I kind of end up helping too much people, thinking about them too much. I have several entrepreneur friends, their businesses have gone into bankruptcy lately, and for me, what I struggle is that I have these feelings when they call me, and then I might spend several days of kind of worrying for them, and even trying to save their businesses. I managed to save one business within the last month, but it's not that much, but still it's one. And if you're building the best board structure for your company, always think where you're heading, what type of skills you need to have. Is your board diverse? And besides the skills, also look how you work together. So it's always good to have conversations with different board members before you start the board work. And then, what's your idea of the ideal board work? At Pröne, it was great, because we started from like 0. So I had this white canvas, and then we started to draw what would be the perfect kind of board work like. And now we're doing it and evolving and making it better all the time. But it's kind of nice to go also to a startup, because you can do that work. If you go to a listed company or bigger company, it's much more difficult to start changing the processes and how they've been operating in the past. I think this is about the last slide, how it will change in the future. We've been working on this, so my perspective is based on Pröne, because we have been building the AI to match board members with companies. And it's a huge topic, and it's ethical issue also. So when we've been building the AI, how the algorithm works, it's a mix of practical compatibility, for example, language-related things, professional requirements, purpose and values. We have also SDGs, so we match people with SDGs and the companies with their SDGs. Then references, experience, industries, and then past matching. So this is how we've been building the AI. It's not live yet, but we are currently working on it, and probably next month or this month already we have it on the platform. But we know that this is how we're gonna build it, and there, of course, is like 50 different things underneath these topics. So AI is not gonna do everything. Then will need to be discussions with people, like who do we need for the board? You can utilize the AI to give suggestions, but people will talk about it, who would be there. AI can bring the shortlist, but then you still need to do the interview, and you still need to see that you fit, that you are a great team together, and then you do the selection. Last slide about, this is my last slide about the tips. So be curious, find your own unique path, and then also work on your own personal PowerPoint presentation or Canva presentation. Thank you.